Hey everybody, this is Brian Ballrick with Roland Digital Group. Today we are going to cover an exciting topic called print and cut. This is a process that you have built into your machine, works in conjunction with the Versaworks RIP, and allows you to do print and cut, but the beauty part is you're free to do the cut either just on the shape, or in this case I've created what's called a boundary cut slightly around the object so that you get a lip of just the overlam hitting and sealing the graphic to wherever it is you're going. So it's really cool stuff. We use it all the time here. So let's get into it. So part of the print lam cut process that you need to consider is your laminate. Lots of laminates to choose from, and as the story goes, you get your calendared white vinyl ready to go, you do your print and cut, take it out, and it's only going to last maybe 2 to 3 years. Beauty part is you've got laminates to choose from that'll increase that life. So beyond your standard print without any protection on it, you now add laminates. So first off, we've got an Avery luster laminate. We love this product. We use it literally for every trade show. Main purpose is that it has this nice luster finish. It's not matte, it's not gloss, and the benefit there is what's called hot spotting. So at trade shows, you're always going to end up with these crazy spotlights, super bright, hitting the graphics, and then you're on the floor looking and you get basically what looks like a solar flare. It's just blown out. You can't really read very well and the colors are a little muted. Beauty part of this product is it's just not gloss enough to bounce out hard. It actually cuts that light, and now you're not getting that sheen, that spotlight on it. So perfect product for things like trade shows, displays, where you don't want that glare. So moving on, this next one is another Avery product. This one is full matte finish. So again, this is just another option. It's very similar to the first one, the luster, but in this case, it's got no sheen. So just in the case you don't want any bounce back of light, you would use this product. And then lastly, we've got our RolandGLEF, which is our guard lam embossed floor graphic. Awesome product. Doing the print and laminate, or print lam cut actually. You can even do stickers for floors. It's got a nice rough finish. It gives your feet that traction that you need to be within compliance for doing floor wraps. You have to have something that keeps the feet from slipping, and this is that product to do it. So it's a fantastic product. I use it all the time. It works perfect for print lam cut as well. So there you go, just a couple options to show you. Now let's go to work and actually do the process. So to set up for print lam cut, it's actually really easy to do in Versaworks. So I'm going to just drag in a predefined piece of artwork that you can see I've been working with today. It's right here. Either one of these files, double click, and there we have it. So I'm just going to do a quick show here that you've got cut data. So I'm going to zoom into this boundary so you can maybe just make out that red dancing line that's showing up just outside or just inside the blue boundary there. So we definitely have cut data. So let's bounce this back to a smaller size. Go kill that. We'll go scale 30%. And we'll flip it orientation wise so it reads correct, and then I'm going to just do 3 copies. And we'll make these 0.2 inches apart from each other so they're fairly tight. Okay, so there's our print setup. This was 3 objects. We'll zoom out a little bit there. All right, so we've got those objects. I'm just going to select the media that I'm currently using. So we'll say GCVP, standard, bi-dye is fine, true rich color 3. These others are not important. However, when we get to the mark is where the magic starts happening. So you'll see on the screen there, we've got crop marks, and it even says print and cut alignment. So this is the key, one of the key components for the print lam cut process, because we have to include the marks so that it can be remeasured after we reload the print. So right now it defaults to entire area for where the marks are going to appear. So that means that for these 3 objects, there'll be a mark at this corner, the origin, and also the back corner here. So 4 total marks makes up the process. However, let's say that instead of just this simple cut that really isn't that complex, you had a job that had just a myriad of lots of cut data within it. and you want to maintain registration over a larger area. They give you the option for adding the crop marks, the crop marks for each row. So you'll notice that this row now has been bounded by these dots. They get added visually to give you a reference. So if I go back and I say give me lots more copies, you'll see that each row, so now we have 3 rows, those dots are now encompassed for each row. The beautiful part of this process is it will produce the first row only in print, rewind, do the registration, and then do the cut. And then it'll proceed to the second row, and then when it's done with that one, it'll proceed to the third row. The wonderful part of that is at no time did the printer have to bounce back and forth for a long distance trying to make, the cut perfect in that corner, the cut perfect in this corner, or that corner, or either corner. It is a beautiful way to maintain a lot of registration in a smaller area. It gives the printer a lot more mechanical control. And believe it or not, if you want to go to the absolute ultimate precision, you can actually do this for each data entry. So it's literally going to produce a sticker at a time and remeasure for that sticker. So it's a really powerful process if you need it. In this case, for what we're doing, we don't need that. We're just going to reduce this back to 3, and we're going to change the mark, and we're just going to say for the entire row. So just that one, it's going to get 4 marks, and we're good. Because again, we're just dropping that knife once. Here's 1, here's 2, here's 3, and then we're done. So this is a much simpler process for this particular application. Moving on, I am going to look at these other settings here. Printer controls really don't need anything. Well, let me clarify. I'm actually going to change the custom feed when the job is done to the max. And the reason for that is whenever you're doing print lam cut, you need enough media both in the front of the object and in the rear of the object so that you don't expose the optical eye that's on the mechanics of the printer. Let's pretend for a second that you cut this right behind when you took it over to laminate and you brought it back and you tried to reload it. The first time that printer tries to run back to that area, it doesn't have enough media to hold it to the bed of the printer, so it'll bounce out and it will fail. So you need to make sure that you leave a good unused portion at the rear of the stickers and in the front of the stickers. So when you load the material, always make sure you've got a little lip in the front. And in this case, I've added the custom settings to be 200mm feed at the end, and that'll give me a nice border at the back. All right, so we've gotten that set, and then we'll go to cut controls. Here we go with one more magic item here. So we're just gonna do print only first. Now, when I do that, you'll see that the display now shows that those dancing red lines that show the cut line have disappeared. So this has now become a print only file. That's cool because when I say okay, and we go to print this, I come back to it later and we double click and we change this back to cut only. Guess what? It knows now that that was processed, printed, and is now awaiting a future cut process, which we can do. And when we do that, it will initiate the re-registration optical eye on the machine to remeasure and get the cut done correctly. So other than that, these other settings don't need to be set. We are good to go. So let's go ahead and get this printed. We'll just say, we'll go back to our cut controls. We'll go back to print only. That's correct. This looks good. We've got our printer marks and the page speed is set correctly. The mark is set correctly, and that's okay. So I'll hit okay, and let's hit print. And print is 1, and that's good to go. We're gonna go ahead and rip and print. So once the printer's complete, you'll end up with your stickers and you'll see these registration marks all the way around, just like we set up in the RIP. Basically this orientation at the origin, you've got your dot and this square. And what's really cool is when the optical eye comes back to this print after we laminate, when it sees this dot, it'll automatically search for this bar. And this bar will indicate the skew rate of when you reload this as a piece. It'll be very easy for you to accidentally have a little bit of skew. And believe it or not, with this bar, it will be able to calculate if you put it in slightly offset and with a skew, so it can compensate for that. So again, these are the reg marks that we need. let's go ahead and take it off the printer and let's put it on the lam. So now that our print's complete, we're going to bring it over here to this laminator. This is a seal laminator. I know that many of you might have a different laminator, but for today, I'm just going to kind of show you a quick setup here and get this done. So I'm going to take the laminate. In this case, this is an Avery luster finish laminate that we use for almost all of our trade shows. So I'm going to bring this through, drag it up to the take-up bar. So I always have a bunch of tape ready to go. Let's go ahead and bring it up. Do a little twist. Make it easy to remove the take-up paper when you're done. So one of the key components, or actually the most important thing with any laminator, I don't care which manufacturer it is going to be your alignment from top to bottom, how you set up your materials. If they're in alignment and you've started and you've got everything in sync, lamination it should work very well. All right, so this is all set up. I'm going to take this top laminate here off the liner best I can. We're just going to drag that down a bit, or at least get it started here. There we go. Now I'm going to drop the top roller. Cool. I'm going to lift this up a bit. I'm going to go underneath. You're not going to see much, but I'm basically going to take that laminate down below the lower roller. So here we go. There it is. And I'm doing my best, again, to keep everything kind of aligned and smooth, because that will pay off very well in the end. So now I'm going to go ahead and drop this back through, and this is going to create a little bit of a dimple up front, just like that. I'm going to take this leader board. It's just a piece of Sintra, about 3 mil thick. I've used it forever. I'm going to crank the speed on the laminator, and I'm going to use the foot switch to activate the speed on it. So we're going to go ahead and start. And just kind of kick that in. We got a little bit of wrinkling, so I'll do a little quick adjustment here, try and take some of it out. And we're going to take our print sheet here. I'm going to drive this underneath and actually take it right up into the throat here. Just about like that until it stops. That's about right. I'm going to reduce the speed, maybe about 5 feet per minute. Let's go ahead. I'm going to drag on this a little bit, take out those wrinkles. I'm going to pull on this a little bit for some back tension. And as soon as we get to those wedge marks, I'm going to go ahead and let off my foot to stop it. I'm going to cut off this back sheet here. Pull through, kind of get rid of that, and finish the process here. Here's our laminated print. I'm just going to go ahead and take this to the trim table and get it cleaned up so we just have the print and get rid of this leader here and get rid of the board. All right, with our print completed, let's go ahead and reload it. So I'm just going to take the print, bring it through the front of the machine, best I can. There we go. And push it through from the front. You hear some beeping happening. And then as I bring it in, the next trick you're going to hear is the bed vacuum turn on, which makes it a lot easier to manage because now I'm not holding it in place, the bed is. And you can see me, I'm starting to make alignments here. So here's our right pinch roller, here's this gap, that's where we want that travel to be for that roller. So it's just to the right of the dot and inside the margin there. But here's the fun part for doing the alignment for print lam cut. So there is our dot, and then you'll see this cutting strip. It's the protection strip for if the knife were to pierce the media completely, it's going to hit this soft material. It's called our protection strip. So the trick is, you can see that I'm going to get that dot in alignment, and I can actually feel that trough. It's a little high on the back, it's a little high in the front, but that dot is dead center. Now if we go over to this other side, to the second dot, you'll notice there's no way for me to see where that trough is. But if while I'm holding the right side, and if I push this left side with the dot, guaranteed, sure enough, I can feel that trough, and now that dot is right inside that trough, just like the right side. So basically now we've got a good alignment. I'm pretty sure that the skew has been reduced because we found those two dots. I've got the media protection flanges off the material, the pinch wheels, and if you notice, this left-hand pinch wheel here needs to be brought in because it got pushed out. So now I've got it in place here. It was off the material, so it got pushed when I loaded. I'm going to bring it back in place here. Right side's looking good. I'm happy. So let's go ahead and drop the lever and hit setup. So now with the media loaded, what I need to do is I'm going to reverse it a little bit so that we can test the cuts to make sure we're getting the right depth through all the material, but not too deep. And we need an unused space on the front of the strip for this. So I'm going to go ahead and hit the move button, and we're going to move that material back just to the point where I've gotten to an unused area, and I'm going to say set base point. Because now the next step is to start testing our blade pressure to get through just the laminate and the material below it, but not the backer sheet, the silicone sheet. So I'm going to look at my blade force here. I'm pretty sure that's going to be too light, so we're going to kick this up to maybe around 60, and I'm going to do a cut test. Okay, so I can just make out where that cut data went, and it's right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit of it started here, and sure enough, it's pretty much perfect. So it looks like 60 gram force was just enough to do a good cut. And I'm going to check and make sure because I want to see if I can see a little bit of dimpling on that back sheet. And sure enough, I can. I'm not sure if the camera can pick that up, but you can see the tip of the knife just barely touched the tip of that silicone sheet, but it didn't pierce it because I'm not feeling anything on the back. So we are perfect. And now with our cut pressure set correctly, I'm going to go back to the home, and I'm going to go to that move command again, because now we're going to go back to where we started, which is with that dot perfectly oriented while it's over the trough of the cutter protection strip, which is exactly there. And then I'm going to hit set base point. And now we're ready to re-release from the rip and just do the cut. And now that we're back at the rip, I can double click our job here. So there it is. And the only real change we need to make is here at the cut controls. And we're going to change it from print only to cut only. And we'll say okay. And now when I hit print, it will know automatically that it was already printed once, and now we're re-releasing it and that we have cut data only. So now it's going to immediately and automatically look for those reg marks optically. So let's go ahead and hit print and let's see that happen. Okay, so here we go. It's measuring that first mark, front and back. Now it's going to the skew mark to check to see when I put it in if we've got good alignment without rotation. Here we are at the next dot, and it'll keep going. So again, the beauty of the quadrant system is even if I maybe screwed up at the lamination and this area isn't perfect anymore, maybe it got squeezed from one corner because it got misfed in the laminator. With all these calculations, our machine and rip are intelligent enough to compensate for whatever shift has happened and take that cut data in real time and bring it into the shape as needed, if you can believe that. So even if this thing was distorted, this can compensate for it. So here we go with the cut data. There's the first one already done. We're moving on to the second. And again, it's been able to perfectly calculate that cut area and the cut shape and match it to the shape of the quadrant system that was originally printed. So we've completely removed it, put that top sheet coating on, brought it back, and with the registration marks, it now has that coordinate system perfectly realigned and able to put the cut data exactly where it was meant to go. So here's our job, and do a little peel, off it comes. Just like that. So that's Print Lam Cut. Really hope you enjoyed the content and look forward to seeing you in the next episode of In the Shop. Brian Balrick signing off. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.